The most common sentiments expressed by parents around the world, really, is this idea that I am going to make a world around my child that is better than the one in which I grew up. I am going to provide for this child in a way for which I was not provided. Um, that seems to be universal. That seems to be an every parent thing, an every good parent thing. But through the lens of dark academia, we get to ask, what does that mean? And is it possible? Welcome to Strip Coverlet, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I'm Adrian Fort, and we are here for another poetry discussion, which will appear in two different playlists on this channel. Number one being the poetry discussion playlist, now cruising towards 800 videos strong, and number two being the dark academia playlist, a playlist dedicated to the idea, to the aesthetic, to the ascetic of dark academia. The poem in question today is Frost at Midnight by Samuel Taylor Coleridge, and it reads as such. The frost performs its secret ministry, unhelped by any wind. The owlet's cry came aloud, and hark, again, loud as before. The inmates of my cottage, all at rest, have left me to that solitude which suits obtrusive musings, save that at my side my cradled infant slumbers peacefully. 'Tis calm, indeed so calm that it disturbs and vexes meditations with its strange and extreme silentness. Sea, hill, and wood, this populous village, sea and hill and wood, with all the numberless goings on of life, inaudible as dreams, the thin blue flame lies on my low burnt fire and quivers not. Only that film, which fluttered on the grate, still flutters there. The sole unquiet thing, methinks its motion in this hush of nature gives it dim sympathies with me who live, making it a companionable form, whose puny flaps and freaks the idling spirit by its own mood interprets, everywhere echo or mirror seeking of itself, and makes a toy of thought. But oh, how oft at school, with most believing mind, presageful, have I gazed upon the bars to watch that fluttering stranger, and as oft with unclosed lids already had I dreamt of my sweet birthplace in the old church tower, whose bells, the poor man's only music, rang from morn to evening, all the hot fair day, so sweetly that they stirred and haunted me with a wild pleasure, falling on mine ear most like articulate sounds of things to come. So gazed I till the soothing things I dreamt lulled me to sleep, and sleep prolonged my dreams. And so I brooded all the following morn, awed by the stern preceptor's face, mine eye fixed with mock study on my swimming book, save if the door half opened and I snatched a hasty glance, and still my heart leaped up, for still I hoped to see the stranger's face, townsman or aunt or sister more beloved, my playmate, when we both were clothed alike. Dear babe, that sleepest cradled by my side, whose gentle breathings heard in this deep calm fill up the interspersed vacancies and momentary pauses of the thought. My babe, so beautiful, it thrills my heart with tender gladness thus to look at thee, and think that thou shalt learn far other lore, and in far other scenes. For I was reared in the great city pent, mid cloisters dim, and saw naught lovely but the sky and stars. But thou, my babe, Shalt wander like a breeze by lakes and sandy shores, beneath the crags of ancient mountain, and beneath the clouds, which image in their bulk both lakes and shores and mountain crags, and so shalt thou see and hear the lovely shapes and sounds intelligible of that eternal language which thy God utters, who from eternity doth teach himself in all and all things in himself, great universal teacher. He shall mold thy spirit, and by giving make it ask. Therefore all seasons shall be sweet to thee, whether the summer clothe or general earth with greenness, or the redbreast sit and sing betwixt the tufts of snow on the bare branch of mossy apple tree, while the nigh thatch smokes in the sun thaw, whether the eavesdrops fall, heard only in the trances of the blast, or if the secret ministry of frost shall hang them up in silent icicles, quietly shining to the quiet moon. This is a poem wherein our speaker looks at his child in the middle of the night and regrets his own city slicker childhood. He is alone amongst those people who he loves most, the only one awake. And in this time, his house populated, but him alone, he meditates on making sure that his child lives closer to nature. This is one of the ascetics that we have from dark academia, the idea that comfort, almost in a stoic way, can be cast aside. What is it that benefits the academia? What is it that benefits the mind? What is it that benefits the wandering nature of the mind's eye? Well, it's not necessarily technology. It's not necessarily comfort. It is intelligentsia for the sake of intelligentsia. The father here is rooting for, working towards a step back from modernity for his child. He was born in the city and rues the fact that he did not get to know nature when he was younger. He has to learn it now. This poem has a very brooding nature from the speaker, says it himself. And he makes in this poem, while he is alone with only the fire to keep him company, he makes a point up here, I think it's the second stanza, fairly long poem, but right here, nope, I went too far, screwed it up. The thin blue flame lies on my low burnt fire and quivers not, only that film which fluttered on the grate still flutters there, the sole unquiet thing. This is a piece of soot. Methinks its motion in this hush of nature gives it dim sympathies with me who live, making it a companionable form. I have made this piece of soot my friend, whose puny flaps and freaks of idling spirit by its own moods interprets everywhere, echo or mirror seeking of itself, and makes a toy of thought. This is not just his friend. This piece of soot is him. That is him sitting there alone by the fire, thinking, lost in thought, making a toy of thought. What is the thought here? Well, I don't think that it is directly stated in the poem. The main sort of conflict in this poem is between the speaker and himself, in such that he wishes he had been closer to nature. He promises to overcome that by raising his child closer to nature. But there is the big struggle of this poem. How's he supposed to do that? That is not the childhood that he knows. That is not the way of parenting that he knows. So there's two choices. Turn to nature. Oh, no, there's two choices. Here we go. The two choices are, one, raise your child the way that you were raised. Raise him a city slicker kid. Raise him with the comforts and tools and vagaries of the city life. Raise him with those advantages which you yourself claim to be disadvantages. But you know how to do that. That's the childhood that you knew. You know how to raise your child in that way. Or do you act on principle? But acting in principle, there is a great risk. You can raise your child closer to nature, but that is not the childhood that you knew. Can you figure that out? Can you do that? Can you execute in a way that will benefit your child? That, I think, is the great struggle in this poem. And it rises from the ideas of dark academia. Overthinking, perhaps. That is all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, literature is the only thing I talk about on this channel. There's poetry every Monday, and there are 2 playlists and a video on the channel that YouTube says you will enjoy. As always, I hope to have you back for the next one.